Can you talk a little bit about the findings and the recent report as it relates to TV viewership and the way in which Mississippi State football has an opportunity to represent the larger campus community on a national stage?
Yeah, so much of, and I guess I'll start with, I felt that, but I didn't have the empirical data at the time when I was a student athlete. I went to, again, small school Wake Forest in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and to go from a team that went to a couple minor bowls and then able to go to a championship and go to the Orange Bowl. I remember going back to campus a couple years later and said, wow, there was a lot of growth. And because of that, it's television viewership. And you look at the last 5 years of television viewership, over 80% has been on all the major linear networks, the ESPNs, the ABCs, has been consumed by college football. And so for the largest economic driver for our business is television. The next largest would be just over 10% men's basketball. And, it's no secret that women's basketball, baseball, softball, the world, they're growing, yes, but they're still all under 2% of total viewership. So when we look at where we're at now and where we're going to the future, we look at college football has the ability to lift the entire profile of our institution. And then locally within our athletics department, it gives us the opportunity for us to lift everything else. And that's one of the cool things about broad-based programming in college sports is college football has the ability to us when you talk about, let's go win another national championship in baseball. Absolutely. Our success of our football program helps lift that. When we talk about, you want to see Morgan hit another shot again in the Final Four. Absolutely. Our success of our college football helps with that. We want to get back to the years of being number one in the CFP. We want more players like Dak and his teammates. That's the kind of thing that helps all of us. So when we look at it's funny because people say you never have a favorite child, and that's exactly true for us. We want all of our sports to be successful, but we know the economic driver behind our enterprise is college football, specifically television viewership.
Thanks for sharing more about that. And one last thing here as it pertains to the transition and the new staff. You and Coach Levy collaborated on a unique program, and it's called the Dog Program. Can you elaborate a little bit more on kind of what that is and some of the key elements of that?
Yeah, I mentioned my Uncle Leroy earlier, who helped get me involved in this business. And by all accounts, he was a first pick in the '75 NFL draft, first ballot College Football Hall of Famer, first ballot NFL Hall of Famer. The thing about Leroy was he never talked about football. He never talked about anything like it. It was always about life. How can you be successful in life? And that always stood out of, it's not about, yes, football is a medium or sports is a medium, but it's so much more than that. And so I was so excited when Coach Levy, and even during the interview process, yes, Coach Levy wants to win on the field, and he wants to pursue championships, and wants our guys to get bigger, stronger, faster, beat the opposition. But the most important thing for him in our program is how can we develop young men? How can we develop them to be better fathers? How can we develop them to be better in their community? And hopefully wherever they're coming from, we can send them, whether it's in Starkville, Mississippi or life beyond, that they're going to make an impact. So when we talked about our DOG program, which is an acronym for Developing a Winning Game Plan, it's just that. It's everything that's off the field, because we know at some point the ball will deflate and they've got to make a positive impact on wherever they're at in life. So really excited about where we're going with that program, and want to thank Gary Green and Greg Knox and Jason Washington for leading that program for us. Everything from service trips to community service, what we're doing around the state of Mississippi, financial planning, financial literacy, and then some of the life skills, how to change a tire, how to cook, all those things that are things that will be, really help you set up for life. And also with career development, career placement. Yes, we hope every player plays professional, goes to the Olympics, but we know that's not the reality. So if you don't do that, how can we use your time here to cater a plan where you can go get the career or the job that you want? And so that's one of the things I'm really excited about. I know we've got a career fair coming up with our football team, and I think we've got over 40 companies now signed up. And one of the really cool things about half of those companies are either led by former players for us or have an employee of a former player. So bridging that gap and the connection is really special. It shows how strong the bond is of Bulldog football players.
Let's dive into that a little bit more. You've made a concerted effort since your arrival to invite all former student athletes back, regardless of what sport, regardless what era they were a part of. You want them to know that they're welcome home. Could you maybe share the importance and why you've made such a consistent, concerted effort in that?
Yeah, thanks for asking. They're always welcome home. This is home. Starkville, Mississippi is home. And we're here because they were here. You and I are here because of the great players, the great coaches, the great staff that came before us. You sit in Humphrey Coliseum. We're here because we had players like Victoria. That's pretty special. You've got Final Four teams. So we want to make sure that each of our lettermaners know they're always welcome home. And then how can we continue? When we say we recruit a player, how can you be a Bulldog for life? And one of the things that we'll always be passionate about is how can we stay connected with our players. Looking at Super Bulldog Weekend last year was so fun, having over 150 letter winners come back. And whether we go around the state of Mississippi or throughout the country to talk to so many letter winners and hear their stories and the passion that they have for Mississippi State is special. We had just over 50 total graduates this past semester, and it was really cool that 3 of them were former players that had already exhausted their eligibility that came back. So when we make decisions, it's always about, clearly we've got to do what's best interest of our student athletes and how we can continue to set them up for success today. But we'll never forget the great players and the reason why we're here, and that's because of the players and coaches and staff that were here before us.
The excitement is evident, right, around Mississippi State. We know how wonderful of a place it is. But can you share more what you and coaches are sharing with prospective student athletes and their families in that recruiting process? What are we really showcasing? Of course, we know all the wonderful things. So what are some of those things that we're highlighting and showcasing in these conversations?
Yeah, I think it starts with the alignment that we have on campus. And we've got the best college president in America, and we've got somebody that continues to serve and really put an emphasis and importance on college athletics. So prospective students and recruits love to hear that we've got true alignment. We always talk about if you send your son or daughter here, we're going to love them first. We want what's best for them, and we're also going to push them hard. So many times it sounds cliche, but it takes somebody that believes more in you than you sometimes believe in yourself. And that's kind of the perspective of each of our coaches have, that we're going to utilize the tools and the resources we have to push our student athletes beyond what they think they can do. And you also come here because you want to compete in the best conference in America. You want to have the cool uniforms, you want to have the gear and the swag, and you talk about all of those things. But the most important thing we talk about is you come to a campus that's beautiful, a community that's safe, a community where you can get a great education, and you're going to have connection for the rest of your life. And I think that really resonates with people. And we're just so excited about, again, the recruits that we have, the momentum we have, and excited about where we're going with it as well.